and gentlemen, welcome to the Pop Art Hunter channel. And today we're going to be discussing a book. We're going to be taking a look at The Art of Pinup. This is by Taschen. It is a huge, heavy book. And we're going to be fluttering through some of the pages, talking about the book itself, also the art of collecting the old vintage pinup artwork, and etc., so on and so forth. Let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to flip through some of this book. I've marked a couple pages just to, kind of expedite things a little bit. It's a big book. If you look at the size of my hand compared to the book, it's a couple 2.5 hand lengths tall, and I have not huge hands, but mediocre hands. I could just get a tape measure, but you know what? Never mind. Don't even sass me. Also, this book is relatively thick as well, so we don't have time to go through every single page, but we'll go ahead and look at a few of these. So the book itself has a high quality to it, and so within here you have different kind of page textures. These are a little bit heavier of stock, almost more of a linen, and within here you also have these photos that are sort of pasted on to the pages, which just gives it a more premium feel to it. Table of contents, it's hard to read right here. I'm not going to pick it up, it's a little bit heavy, but it's actually multilingual. So some chapters are in English, some are in German, some are in French, and so if you know all those languages, you should be good to go. If not, you'll have to kind of read between the lines on some areas. One thing it goes through is kind of the history of some of the pinup stuff. Some specific subjects like, nose art, that kind of popularized pinups, during the war and such. They would, paint on the nose of the airplanes, figures, etc. And then it goes through each of some of the most popular artists, everything from Enoch Bowles to Gil Elvering to Zoe Mozart. And then they have another section for just a variety of other artists around that time. So, pinups became really popular during the war, and you can see, there was some, pinup magazines, but then also people were getting the back of their jackets, their bomber jackets and stuff, or even tattooing directly on their chests, these pinup models. And so, I think the war really kind of popularized, and, even like the bikini, first became popular because they were saving fabric, and so they made 2-piece swimsuits instead of 1-piece. And so, obviously the war had effect on many different things, and I think it definitely popularized the pinup models. You have all sorts of different advertisements that use them. It wasn't so much an art form at that time where people would buy them as a painting or a piece of artwork. I mean, it was used to, even for advertising mail, or different types of products. And so, the pinups were used in advertising a substantial amount of the time. And then also it became very popular for the nose artwork on airplanes, and so they would actually paint on the tips of airplanes some nose art, and that became again a very popular trend during the war. So this book covers again a lot of those different areas. I think what also pushed pinups in general was Mutoscope cards. Exhibit Supply Company and other companies had dispensers, and Mutoscope would sell them these almost like trading cards of sorts. And so you'd stick a penny or 2 cents or 4 cents depending on the year, and these cards, a lot of them were around the 40s, early 50s. And you would get out a card, just like you would, a kid would put a quarter into a gumball machine, or, get a plastic ball, or the little slimy things that you throw, those little tchotchkes. Similarly, individuals could go up to one of these machines, stick in a penny or 2 cents or something, and they would get something back, and they would get a card. So that's another thing that I actually collect. I have in my collection. So here's a card, original from 1940, and I have it encapsulated with PSA, but that's this card right here. So you can kind of see that this was popular. And for me, it's kind of exciting for these. I think they're cool pieces of artwork from these various artists, but the fact that this survives is just amazing. I don't collect baseball cards and such, but that's a similar thing. When you find a card that survived how many decades, it's just quite amazing. One thing about pinup art is a lot of times they were repurposed. Typically, they would have live artists that would kind of be the subject matter for them, and that's not in the same angle as this is, which we will see later, some similar angles, but then they would kind of adjust it. So this one has an older style car within it, and this one has a little bit newer style car, and they update the swimwear in each of them, and so they use the same model, same pose. They just changed the coloring of some of the things and altered it slightly. And so a lot of times the artwork would get reutilized throughout the years. So here's an example of an artist painting a model in the exact same pose. And most of, I'm not going to say all of, but most of, I would imagine, of the pinup artists actually used live models, and then would either paint them exactly or kind of exaggerate or embellish costumes, features, and stuff. But to at least get the figure painting done, they would do that. Then magazines started to become really popular with using pinup art as well. Film Fun was a magazine. Enoch Boles, I don't know how you want to say his name. He actually did all the Film Fun magazines, and this was like kind of a Hollywood entertainment magazine. I actually have a copy. This is let's see here, 1932 February, and that's actually this same figure here. And so for me, this is a really cool piece of artwork. I like just the composition of it. She's sitting on a movie production light, or I guess it could be a theater light, but it seems like a movie production light. So I have this actually near my television with some vintage candy boxes, some film reels and canisters and stuff like that. And it sort of changes that decor of that space. But I kind of like the subject matter there. All right, here's another example of, actually, let me go back here, one page. So Zoe Mozart, the pinup art world was sort of a boys' club in many ways, which you can imagine back in the 40s, that could be how it was. Zoe Mozart was one of the prominent female artists of pinup. She was probably the most famous one. And again, here's some of that quality transitional pieces here where they actually paste within the book. So again, a very quality book. So she actually, you can see her in this photo, painting a figure, and this was for a movie called The Outlaw. And so that became the movie poster artwork, almost like we did a review of the Drew Struzan book, and his poster artwork. This was similar to that style. So I'm sure individuals like Zoe inspired people like Drew Struzan to paint this like photorealistic artwork, but in that sort of style that just brings it to life in sort of a different way. So again, this book is huge. It's big. There's lots of stuff here, and I think for anyone who is collecting this kind of stuff, this can be a good resource guide for you, especially if you know French and German as well. But since it's kind of split up into different categories, but yeah, really big book, really high quality and premium book. Definitely worth the cost of admission there. I like big books, and I cannot lie. Taschen creates some of these huge XL size books. I've got, also a Disney artwork book like this. It wasn't by Taschen, but I also have a Rick Baker book that was like 17 pounds. I really like these big, heavy monster books that are like in your face and like showcase pieces and says, "Here I am. Look at me, I'm a book." I like those books. I don't know why. It's just something that I enjoy. I think size matters in that regard, where you have these pieces that are just, they're full to the brim with whatever subject matter. Artwork, posters, special effects, anything. A coffee table book on coffee tables, hashtag Seinfeld. So this is a really neat book for collectors of vintage artwork, like pinup artwork. It can be a great reference piece, but it also gives you a lot more details about the artists and who they were, how they got started, and those types of things. And I think that's really interesting. And also to see how artwork changed over time, how it came into existence, and why certain things pop off the way they do as far as being popular in pop culture. Like, how does it become that way? So these books really give you an interesting historical look into those things, and I really like it. I can't recommend it enough. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit pricier, but if it's something you're into, I suggest getting it. Thanks for watching the Pop Art Hunter channel, and we will see you next time.